the podcast. My name is Cossy. Welcome back to brand new video. This is the latest Arsenal news and transfer news. I'm back with Glenn for the Cossy and Glenn podcast. Once again, we are talking strikers. We're also talking the possibility that Nketiah and Gabriel Jesus could continue being Arsenal's trusted backups for Kai Havertz. We're also going to be talking about what options Arsenal have in terms of the forward line. Should we go with an average 35 to 45 million option, or should Arsenal go full blast for a 75 to 100 million pound striker? We're going to be diving into all that. But of course, today we have a big story from Team News and Ticks saying that Arsenal are big admirers on Eberechi Eze, and is one of the players Arsenal have been looking at this summer. So Eberechi Eze, after Michael Olise leaving Crystal Palace for Bayern Munich, do we see another important player leave Crystal Palace? That's one question. Secondly, Pletty from Germany says Arsenal are among the clubs that have shown actionable, interest in Joshua Kimmich after Bayern Munich have made it very clear that the 29-year-old can leave this summer, as Joao Palhinha is one of the players that are going to be signing for Bayern this summer. And Conor Gallagher, obviously. Glenn, how are you doing? Lots of action. It's an action-packed show. But how have you been? You're mute.
Again, rookie mistake. Rookie mistake.
Yeah.
I'm doing good. Enjoying the Euros as usual. The games have been really good, and I'm hoping we can start doing some business really soon. I know people are getting frustrated. I'm not frustrated at all. I know it's hard. There's no team that has really signed anyone. It's not just Arsenal taking time. Teams like Chelsea also getting rejected. Other teams are getting rejected. It's going to take time this time. It's very different this time. So I am doing good.
Yeah, definitely. Again, I want to say this from Fabrizio Romano. Arsenal know what they're doing. They already have their plan. The plan was set in January. However, Arsenal are doing a couple of selling as well, and that might take a bit of time. But I don't want you people to panic. I don't want you people to feel like, Arsenal may be going back to the Arsene Wenger days where we signed Peter Cech in one window for 90 days. I don't think we are there yet, right? I don't think we are going back. I think this is just a different window with the Euros and a couple of things going on with PSR. We're seeing clubs making funny signings for a lot of money. That Douglas Lewis and Juventus, to Juventus with a couple of players, on the way. That should be investigated. The deal between Aston Villa and Everton with a couple of players that I don't understand. A lot of money in those deals. That should be investigated anyway. So Arsenal will do the deals. At least we know some players are going to be joining and some players are going to be leaving. But that's just going to take some time. Now, let's start off with a very I want to say bad story, but I want to say concerning story from the Athletic, who have said that Arsenal are very confident that Gabriel Jesus and Nketiah are still regarded as big forwards at the club, and therefore not signing a striker is not a reason to panic for the club, as they see those two as players that can work with Kai Havertz for the future. That is a story I looked at. I took a screenshot of it, posted on my Twitter, and 100% just kept quiet. I was like, I don't want to look at it again. That Nketiah is going to stay. Let's start there, Glenn. I know you're not a big person on striker priority this summer, and I understand a couple of people in your camp think that Arsenal don't desperately need a striker. But Nketiah, keeping Eddie, are we that confident, really?
I don't think we're going to keep Eddie now for a lot of reasons. Now, between like January and May, there's a lot of times we were making subs, 5 subs, and Eddie would not be chosen. Like we'd bring Cedric, not Eddie. We'd bring El Neni, not Eddie. Vieira would come on a couple of games. Trossard or Martinelli would come on, and Nketiah was not really being looked at. Even like, for example, when we were drawing 1-1 with Brentford, when Havertz scored last minute, Nketiah was never really looked at as well in that game. So games that we thought, listen, we can bring a striker in, we never really looked at him. Now, that showed me that Teta really doesn't really trust him that much. He's maybe on the same camp as the likes of Nelson and Smith Rowe. On top of that, the player himself, I think he started to realize, listen, Arsenal being linked to a lot of strikers. Havertz can play there now. Trossard can play there. Martinelli can play there. They can play a false 9 if they want. There's a lot of different ways they can play. Jesus is there as well. Am I really going to get more opportunities now? Nketiah himself, I think it's going to come more from Nketiah himself, like not saying, like, listen, I'm not going to stay. I'm not going to play. There's other teams that want me. I'm going to move on. I feel like himself, he'd want to go somewhere else to play, whether it's on a loan deal, whether it's on a permanent deal. I don't think he'd want to stay. He's one player that whenever he does interviews and, people ask him, Arsenal fans think you're not really the best, number 14, all that. He says they don't really get enough chances. I want to play 38 games out of 38, and that is not going to get at Arsenal. So in that regard, I feel like, no, there is no way he'd want to stay. Now, the only way it could end up staying, I don't think we'd look at him like, yeah, this is the guy that is going to be the guy for us next one. I don't think Ata will do that this time. The only way he could stay is no team coming for him to pay that money, and then we are stuck with him. That's the only way. Now, if you're stuck with him, we could look at it two different ways after that. Well, he's here. Well, we might as well play him. Or, we're going to keep you on the bench. You're not going to use you or play him and then try to increase his value, keep his value at, at least 30 million when it gets sold. But at the moment, I don't think he's going to stay unless there's no market for him. We also need the money to use for other transfers. You're already struggling to sell Tierney. You're already struggling to sell Lokonga. So you're already struggling to sell Ramsdale in terms of teams wanting them. So he's one of the few players that we can sell. So there's a lot of reasons I feel like we are supposed to sell him, or we are going to sell him, apart from if no team comes in for him, then we are stuck with him.
Now, guys, thank you so much for joining us right on this live stream. If you're watching live, let me know. Nketiah, keep or sell? If you would keep, just type keep. If you'd sell, type sell in the comment section below. Because again, for me, he's one of the players I thought Arsenal are looking to sell. This is the opportune moment. But we know Arsenal have never sold at the opportune moment. Arsenal have never sold at the right time. So for me, in terms of having enough backup quality, Gabriel Jesus and Nketiah are nowhere near that standard. They're nowhere near what Arsenal would need in terms of having two players behind Kai Havertz. And we are going to talk about Kai Havertz himself, in this episode as a topic of discussion. But with Eddie, and I want to ask you this: do you think Arsenal gave him 100K per week, and they told him, this is going to be your role? You're going to be maybe a backup striker. You're going to play around 10 games a season for 3 seasons, and maybe agree to that? Because, if he didn't agree to such a contract, why would we have given him 100K per week, at Arsenal, knowing very well that the clubs that would want to sign him, Crystal Palace, Brighton, Fulham, these clubs are not giving him 100K a week?
There's some situations where something could be good for you right now, but long term, it's not. So I feel at that moment, after that game against Chelsea, we won 4-2. Nketiah scored twice. It looked great. I think if he doesn't score those 2 goals, he's sold that summer. And a couple of other games, it looks good. And that says, like, listen, that time we didn't have Havertz, we didn't have Trossard at that time. So he was like, listen, do you even have Jesus? We didn't. Did we? I don't think we even had Jesus at that time. I think Jesus came in. We didn't. So Nketiah was the striker in that team. I think Lacazette, that was his last season. So at that time, I do believe that Ata actually told him, listen, we don't really have too many strikers. Lacazette is about to leave. You're going to be our striker next season, or at worst, you're going to rotate with someone else. Now, things have changed. That's why I look at other players that were promised something different, like a Nelson. If he was promised something different, things have changed. At that time, 2021, 2022, we were trying to get into the top 5, top 4, We had not even, because the 2021-22 season was the one that we were fighting in the top 4. So around 2021, we weren't even a top 5 team, really. We are still struggling to get to that level. So wherever we made promises to those players, at that time, maybe it was fine. It was fine, because we were like, listen, we don't have any strikers next season. You're going to stay. You've scored these 2 goals against Chelsea, and Eddie was saying he had not really gotten his chance. And listen, you're still, okay, fine. You're going to stay. The other 2 decisions in terms of giving him the number 14 and also the 100K a week, a bit strange, because I don't think any other team would have offered more, would have gotten 40 million for him to move on. So in that case, it's a little bit strange. But maybe it was just trying to reward him. Maybe we didn't want to let Lacazette go and also Nketiah go at that time and remain with 0 strikers, because we weren't really an attractive entity at that time. Now, at that time as well, maybe if players like Dewberry are there, they would have played. But right now, things have completely changed now. Now we cannot talk about bring 6 youngsters to play, give Nketiah another contract. extend an injury-prone player's contract. We cannot do that right now. Like within those 2 years, a lot of things have changed. We are now trying to get to 94, 95 points. 2 years ago, we were trying to get to 69, 70 points to finish ahead of Tottenham in the top 4. So things have completely changed. So at that time, I do think we actually did offer him that, because we're a little bit desperate and we felt like, listen, he's the one who's done a job this time. He's had a good season. He's the only player who can score goals. Smith Rowe scored goals that season and Saka. But we were looking at him as an important player at that time. We didn't have Trossard. We didn't have Havertz. We didn't have Jesus. We didn't have all of those players.
That was a bad decision, guys. That was a bad decision. So we are talking Eddie Nketiah, Arsenal looking at him as one of the forwards that they can trust, and therefore Arsenal are not under pressure to go in the market and break the bank for a new forward. That is according to The Athletic, who said that the midfield is 100% Arsenal's priority, as they think Gabriel Jesus, Trossard, Eddie Nketiah, Kai Havertz, all those can lead Arsenal all the way. Now, with Eddie, I'm going to say this. I will not be surprised if he stays, and I won't be surprised if we don't even get clubs close to signing him. I won't be surprised if Arsenal are contemplating between, do we sell, do we keep? But like I said, if you're watching in the comment section, let me know. Do you sell Eddie Nketiah this summer? Do you keep him? And also, this is again, a question I want to ask to the people on this channel that always tell me that I disrespect Eddie Nketiah. Where would Arsenal realistically finish if we had Eddie Nketiah for 38 games as our own striker, like as our main striker? Where would we, realistically finish? And that's the question I want to pose to you, Glenn. What are the chances that Arsenal compete favorably with the Bayern Munich that is now taking the likes of Olise, taking the likes of Joao Palhinha? They're regrouping. Last season they took in Ken. What are the chances that we realistically compete with the Bayern, with the Real Madrid, with the Man City, if we keep this current crop of attacks of forwards? Gabriel Jesus, injury prone, really doesn't fancy scoring goals that much. Eddie Nketiah would love to score, just doesn't have the ability to score that much. And Kai, who definitely has been good up top, but if another club has a player like Haaland, they're definitely better.
Now, I don't hate Nketiah. No, I don't like hate him or anything like that. But we need to go to the next level. That's the thing you've talked about. I want Jesus to stay at Arsenal, not as the main striker, to play different roles in the team. But if fans are talking about we've moved on from Zinchenko, we've moved on from Jesus already, then that means we've moved on from Nketiah like 3 years ago. That just makes sense, because right now we need to keep on progressing. I feel like Arsenal can still score goals without a striker. We can still score 90 goals, but I still want a striker because I want us to keep on improving and keep on competing with Man City. And you've mentioned Haaland. The only way you can do that is to add a striker. If it doesn't work, next time add another winger. If it doesn't work, you add another goalkeeper. You have to keep on going. You can't just give up. You have to keep on going. Now, in terms of levels, as you said, I usually look at it from their opposition point of view. If Nketiah is the Arsenal striker, would Guardiola be, shaking at night saying, "Oh, Arsenal are playing, a tough game against us tomorrow, but they have Nketiah, you're going to struggle." Maybe I can even throw in Jesus in that list. Maybe they'd be like, is he going to score 2-3 goals against us? I don't think so. But if you have Haaland in your team, or you have Lewandowski in your team, or those players, they'd be worried. They'd be like, these guys have a really dangerous striker up front. So you need to keep on improving your team. Now, 2 years ago, you would afford to have a striker and then maybe Nketiah as a backup or Nelson as a backup. But now we've come to a level where we know you're going to play close to 60 games in a season, and your striker is not going to play all 60 games. And there's injuries, there's suspensions, there's all that. You don't want to risk Saka being out for 3 games, and then you look at the bench, there's no one who can really come on. When Man City struggle a little bit, they bring in De Bruyne against Newcastle, and he gets 2 assists in that game. They can bring on Doku to, inspire them right away. Now, for us, we have to also go to that level. If we were fighting for top 5, top 6, it's different, because those other teams, they do look at their bench and they're like, we don't really have someone to be. I've seen Chelsea a lot of times last season looking at their bench and they're like, Washington, all these guys, they can't really come on and make an impact. Now, for us, the level we're trying to compete at with Man City, we have to look at our bench and have serious players to come on. and the levels are not the same. Like when you take off Saka,
Absolutely.
we bring in Nelson and Vieira. It's not the same. If we take off Declan Rice and bring in El Nino and still here, it's not the same at all. There's only like 3-4 positions I feel like I'm fine with. Last season I did feel like Raya Ramsdale, whatever, it's fine. White, Tomiyasu, fine. Trossard, Martinelli, whoever plays, fine. But the other positions, you're really like, if Odegaard goes out, who's going to come in? So you need to keep on improving those positions, and you have to move on from players. Even Man City has moved on from Gundogan, Mahrez, players who've won them titles. So you have to
Yeah.
keep on moving from players.
Yeah. Now, another player Manchester City have moved on and Arsenal are still stuck onto is Gabriel Jesus. Again, that article from The Athletic quotes very well that Gabriel Jesus is definitely among the players that Arsenal are going to be relying on the coming season. And I want to combine these two. Kai Havertz, Gabriel Jesus. That is, that's the combination we're likely to see a lot of the time with Gabriel Jesus playing elsewhere, right wing, left wing at times. But I don't exactly see him on the wings that much. Especially if Arsenal go and get a winger. So I think it's going to be pecking order: Kai Havertz, Gabriel Jesus, Edin Nketiah. If all of them, manage to stay, if we manage to keep all of them at the side. Now, let's say Gabriel Jesus doesn't pick up injuries. Let's say he stays fit. Then does that change the decision in terms of still going out for a number 9 now and for the future? Does that impact the decision? And then we are like, now that Gabriel Jesus is no longer injury prone, now that he's played a whole season, we can compete.
I don't think so. Now I still want Jesus to stay at Arsenal, but the word he used is rely. I don't want us to rely on him because we know he can't really score 30 goals in a season. I don't know if he can't okay, probably he can't, but also he doesn't seem like, he's like hungry to score 30 goals.
I don't think he can.
Yeah, so I think it's both. Maybe he can't, and also he's not really hungry to score those goals. He wants to, the skills a bit and passes and all that. And I still want him to stay here, but not to rely on him. We still need someone to take us to the next level. Again, if it was just top 4, top 5, both of them staying absolutely fine but competing for the title when Havertz has been scoring goals and assisting, but he's not even a striker. So you need players to proper strikers. Man City, as you've said, have Haaland, other teams have Kane, other teams have Mbappe. You need players who will score 30 goals in a season, and that's not those two particular players. Now I still want Jesus to stay as an impact player. I don't mind if we have our own striker starting 5 games and then Jesus is coming in for this game as a striker, and then the next game is coming on in the second half to play as a striker. I don't really mind it, but relying as in saying, okay, we don't have anyone else, Jesus is going to play the next 10 games as a striker, I'm not really sure about that because it's not as clinical. But I still think he helped us in a lot of games last season. Sevilla away, games against Lons, both of them, his trickery, his goals, the game against Crystal Palace right after the Dubai trip, all of those teams. He did well in all of those games. Nottingham away, Luton away. He's opened up for us those games.
I would want to say with Gabriel Jesus, his conversation is a bit of the conversation people have around Darwin Núñez. Darwin Núñez was signed as a 90 million, 100 million euro prospect at Liverpool. And you expected 30 goals plus from him, a direct competition to Erling Haaland. That didn't happen. So Liverpool fans have reduced him into a player who can come off the bench or a player that can cause chaos. But causing chaos for 100 million euros, that is, first and foremost, the position you occupy in the squad. It's not an Edin Nketiah position. It is not a Dominic Solanke position. You're occupying the Roberto Firmino position. So with Gabriel Jesus, I think when we look at him, and when I look at him as the first number 9 Arsenal signed after Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang left Arsenal, right? So when you tell me that there are a couple of games where he does well, there are a couple of times when he performs well, there are a couple of things that he does well, that reduces him from the Aubameyang role, that reduces him from to the maybe to what should we say? He becomes the new Edin Nketiah. That's what you would say at 260,000 a week.
No. I think he does way more than Nketiah. Those duels and winning us the ball back and getting involved in the play and creating spaces for everyone else. I think he does way more. I think he does way more. I know sometimes people just look at goals and they'll tell you 4 goals, this is not enough. But everything else, I think he did well. Like, for Bayern Munich, if he's not in that game, we lose that game at home. So all those just chances of him opening up the game, it's still there. Now he's only been here for 2 seasons, same with Zinchenko. I had James on FTV saying some time back they had a very good first season, both of them.
Yeah,
They had
they did.
an
They did.
they had not so great season in the second time. So that's 50-50. So I think it's only right if we give them the third season. If the third season they also go ahead and he scores only 4 goals and he plays 20 games and he gets injured another 2-3 times, then after that you can start thinking of, okay, we can move you on. But right now I'm looking at the first season and like, can he replicate that first season? Because we've seen him doing it less than like 1 year ago, like coming in the first game, scoring a double against Leicester, a couple of good goals, ahead in the back post, looked goal over the goalkeeper. I'm looking at all that. I know he can do much. The only worry with him is the injuries. If he gets another like knee injury again that keeps him out for 3 months, that becomes a problem. So I don't agree people saying he moved from Man City because he was a terrible player. Haaland is just a better player and they knew they were going to get an out-and-out striker. But at the time we were linked to him, I think teams wanted him. Chelsea wanted him, and a
Chelsea
couple of
wanted
other
him.
teams wanted him.
Yeah.
So even if we said we are going to sell him today, I'd not be surprised to hear Barcelona have got him or Bayern Munich have got him. Like, I'd not be surprised.
Yeah, I think there's no question about his quality as a player. My problem is the fact that clubs have Kane, clubs have Lewandowski, clubs have Mbappe, and those are the clubs we are going against. That's my question. So now Kai Havertz remains our main player up top. And that's going to take a whole season for us to evaluate and re-evaluate. I think at first we evaluated him as a midfielder turned striker. This season gives us a platform to evaluate him as a striker, playing striker, maybe something like that. So, how confident are you, Kai Havertz up top? Because personally, it could go 2 ways. It could go, should have left him in midfield, or it could go, wow, he's playing up top, right decision.
When the season ended, just before it ended, when Chelsea fans are saying Palmer, replacement of Havertz, has done well, blah blah blah. I went and actually looked at Havertz goals and all that. Like between August and like December, or let's say before the Dubai trip, he had not scored too many goals. He had not had too much impact. Maybe a goal against Brentford, a goal against Luton, a goal in the penalty against Bournemouth, maybe one more. The returns were like 5 or something goal returns in terms of contribution. So it was all there. And most of those games, he was playing as a midfielder. But the moment he started playing as a striker, his numbers probably quadrupled in that latter part of the season. And the team's goals probably doubled, like the number of goals he was scoring. So that shows you that midfield, no, it was maybe, confusing everyone else in the team. But him moving up front, he actually gained. He was more comfortable playing in that position, more comfortable making those runs in behind. And there's a lot of those games that we scored a lot of goals that he was involved in a lot. Like, for example, Newcastle at home, he was involved in all of those goals a lot. Chelsea and all of those teams. Now, he does definitely bring you something in the team. People think opening up the space is not good enough. He does that. It creates more space from the likes of Odegaard. I think if you ask Odegaard who you want to play with out of the players we have, he'd probably say Havertz up front. He can put in a cross, he can head the ball. Ben White can, know that, okay, I have someone in the box I can put in a cross. He brings a lot in the team. Now, the only thing about keeping him by himself is the pressure. Yeah. Can we really tell him now you're the one who's going to score 30 goals for us? You're going to play every single game. You're going to make runs in behind. You're going to do all that. I don't think so. Because I also want an out-and-out striker who's just going to be in the box. I think Havertz is a bit different. Havertz is good for, confusing the opponents a lot. You can have Saka going to the middle, Havertz moving to the right for 2 minutes, Havertz moving to the left for 2 minutes, Martinelli coming up front. He's a very good he's a very good player to have for sure. I don't mind having Havertz in the team, and I don't mind him starting games. But I'm talking about 50 games out of 50 in the season. You need a different option. We now know we have someone who can run from midfield and go up front. I don't mind seeing that 2-3 games in a season. We know if we can put in a cross in the last minute when the game is 1-1, he can do that in the team. But what if if we are facing like a Liverpool or Man City and we know we're only going to get 1 or 2 chances, and you want someone who's going to score a goal, or we are trying to get let's say cover 6 goal difference. It's a goal difference of 6 towards Man City, and you only have like one game to do that. You'd want an out and out striker who's going to pump in those goals, and then you have maybe Havertz in behind them. So as an out and out striker by himself, no, but his numbers improved and the team improved in the latter part of the stage. But I don't want just him in the team. I want someone else to also help him out.
Well, now, let me know in the comment box there. Kai Havertz as our forward, yes or no, next season? Because that is where Arsenal draw the decision. Do they go for a 9 this summer, or do they pause, give Kai Havertz a whole season and see what happens? And as we pause, what happens? Do we do we stay on course as potential champions, or do we just use this upcoming season, to clear our roles and to clear players' roles? I want to know. Kai Havertz up top, yes or no? Main man, right? Would you play Jesus as the main man next season? Would you play Kai Havertz as the main man, or would you sign someone else and play up top as the main man? So, Glenn, Kai Havertz, Gabriel Jesus, and Edin Nketiah, they put us in 2 or 3 decision positions. 1, no striker at all. 2, a 75 to 100 million pound signing that just comes in and replaces everyone as priority. Or 3, an average 35 to 45 million pound signing, up top, like a Joshua Zirkzee, that like we were trying to do. First and foremost, I'm gonna ask this: are you you said striker is not a big priority, so would you be okay if Arsenal dealt with the midfield, with the left back situation and the new goalkeeper situation, and we kept those 3 up top and brought in no one else?
Let me correct that before people put words in my mouth. I still want Arsenal to get a striker, but I want us to get a midfielder first and then a striker second.
I mean, when you say non-priority, it means I could get a shot, but
because I've seen people jumping in the comments and saying, "Why don't you want a striker? Are you still happy with Nketiah?" And I'm like, I did not say that anywhere. I said,
obviously, no one is happy.
Even if Arsenal don't buy anyone at all, we are still going to finish second. We still have a team there that can still finish second. I don't expect Man United to get over us or Liverpool to get over us. It's only Man City. But to compete with Man City and to compete in the Champions League, we need to upgrade on our striker. So that brings me to your question. I don't think a 30 million striker does that for us. If that is the case, then I'd rather have Havertz as the main striker in the team. Because I want someone to if someone is coming in, I want someone to take us to the next level. That is what I want. Because right now, I still feel Arsenal can score 90 goals without a striker. So for you to convince me that you're really improving that team, you need to get me like a next level kind of striker, not another 25 million striker. If that is the direction you're going, I don't feel there's too many good ones out there, maybe 1 or 2, but apart from that, I don't think there's too many others. Like if you start mentioning for me Calvert-Lewin, I'll be telling you, come on, like I rather keep those 3 that you mentioned.
He's going to Newcastle, guys.
It's crazy. Again, those deals that you're talking about. So there's something going behind closed doors. So for me, I need someone to take us to the next level. Someone, as we've always talked about, someone who can score 10 games in a row. Someone who can, if we win 5-0, they're not happy because they haven't scored. Someone who can get 1 chance in a game against Man City and put it in. Someone who can, bang a hat trick. All that, score different kinds of goals, give the defenders a worry, run in behind, chase rebounds, chase down defenders. A goalkeeper makes a mistake, the striker is there. Someone who, Saka and Martinelli can look at and like, okay, we can put in a cross there. Someone that Odegaard and Havertz can look at and they're like, okay, pressure's a little bit away now. So we've brought in someone else who can score 40, 50 goals. We can score more goals. Another reason for those players to stay at Arsenal, because I've seen a lot of people getting worried about, what if Saliba moves to like a Real Madrid? No, I want us to start thinking like a big team. There's no reason for them to move to Barcelona or to Man City. We have something cooking here. So if you keep on bringing players like that, the other players notice that as well. And they're like, listen, you're bringing in someone like this. Yes, but if Havertz and Jesus are looking at it and you bring in a 15 million striker from Burnley, what is that all about? They're like, I'm here, like we're already 3 of us. Nketiah will be like, is this the guy you're replacing me with? I don't think so. So unless you're taking it to the next level and then having Havertz and Jesus helping that next level guy, that is what I'd like. But I still want to strike at Arsenal because looking at our team, there's not too many other positions that we can go to the next level apart from the midfield, adding in terms of numbers and the striker and I don't think there's many others actually.
Yeah, I think it's the wingers, the forward line, and the midfield. Now, obviously, us keeping those three gives us an option of signing a winger. Do you think that us just going for a winger, maybe Williams, maybe Neto, depending on what the club will settle on, that massively strengthens us and that puts us in a in an okay position? Because for me, what I'm looking at for Arsenal this is summer and next season I'm going to be 50-50. I'm going to be in that camp of, if we don't win anything, it's now really embarrassing, right? I think that for the past 2 seasons, it's been kind of preparation. You're going through the emotions, you're going through the excitement. It's our first flight. Right now, we have taken 2 flights, flown economy, flown business. I think it's now time to fly private. And this is the season where we fly private. We can't mess things up. So, do you think that that could force Arsenal into going for a winger? We are not going to get rid of Kai, honestly. We're not going to get rid of Gabriel Jesus at the moment. He's training hard. He's not even at the Copa America, with Brazil. Do you think that would just force us into, or maybe pivot us into getting a winger as we watch the situation and the striker market?
I think they still want to get a striker. But I also want a winger. We've also talked about backup for Saka. You've talked about strengthening the left side. Now, unless if the winger was like Mane or Salah 3 years ago, you're getting 30 goals from that winger, then you can be like, okay, I see why. But for me, I'm very happy with Saka starting.
If you got a winger like Cody Gakpo, you could get that. But Liverpool, I don't think they're selling.
Nah, Gakpo good, but I don't think. We are going to talk about another player in this video as well, just like Gakpo. Very, very good players. Probably the one you're going to talk about is more quality, but I don't feel like I'd be like, oh, I'm waiting for them to really sign. No, I would feel that if it is like a Gyökeres or an Osimhen. Now, if you can get a winger who can score 20-25 goals, the only way I'd be like, okay, because I'm happy with Saka starting, I'm happy with Trossard or Martinelli starting. The only way is if there's not too many strikers available. Unless Gyökeres says, no, I don't want to move from Sporting at all. I don't want. And Osimhen says, you know what? Nah, actually, I don't want to come to the Premier League. I want to go to Saudi Arabia. And then you're put in a position where there's not too many strikers who you can get. Then you can potentially go for a wing and a number 10. That's the only way I would do. If you're not getting a striker, you can look at a wing and a number 10. But for me, I don't necessarily feel like we need like a number 10 or any of those other positions. The only positions you can improve in are the striker and the midfield. And the rest of our team is good. I'm happy with all 7 of our defenders staying. I'm happy with Partey staying. I'm happy with Rice. I'm happy with Jorginho. I'm happy with Havertz. I'm happy with Jesus. But I need something more up front. Again, let me repeat it again. Even if you didn't sign anyone at all, I still feel you're going to get 80, 85 goals. But if there's a potential of getting 100, 110 goals and, beating the teams like Fulham and Aston Villa with one chance created, let's do it. Absolutely fine. So the thing a winger will bring to the team, someone like a Nico Williams, he'll bring those 17 assists. He'll bring those, chances created. But sometimes he might end up missing them as well. He might end up finishing 9 assists. So I want someone else there. I want someone else there that you can be like, okay, Havertz has not done well in 2 games. This player is there. Don't worry. This player is there who's going to score goals. Sometimes it's also about confidence. If you only depending on one player and they're not confident, you're in trouble. But if you have 3 or 4 players, 2 of them are not confident at the time, but the 2 of others are like, they've scored 4 games in a row plus international games. You have to have the numbers as well.
Yeah. Now, for me, why I had actually thought about those 2 options, if a 75 plus million striker and a 35 plus million striker, is I think Arsenal will need to make a brutal decision like Manchester City did make with Gabriel Jesus, because they signed Gabriel Jesus. Later on, they signed Erling Haaland and they get rid of Gabriel Jesus. I don't think we have seen so many such decisions from Arsenal. I don't think we were even ever at a phase where we could do such. Maybe Arsene Wenger, but again, the reason as to why Arsene Wenger was selling such talents was to raise money. So maybe not this summer. Do you see Arsenal in the future make a brutal decision, such a brutal decision, where we get rid of a player like Kai Havertz? Yes, he's good, but he's bringing in 11, 12 goals a season, or even 14, 15 goals a season. and there is a huge prospect on the market, and we just go boom. Kai Havertz has been sold by Arsenal, despite the fact that he can average 16 goals a season. Arsenal have gone for a 30-goal striker, a 30-goal machine.
Not now. In the next couple of years, yeah, in the next couple of years, I could see that happening because we will also have a team that we are looking at, and all 20 players. We're like, I'd want to keep all of them, but you have to sell a couple of them. So
Yeah.
it's going to come to a time where you don't really have what do they call it? Like players like dead rubber. We're going to come to a time where you don't have too many dead rubber players, and we're looking at it like the only three players we can sell here, like Ben White, Havertz, and Martinelli. My goodness, can't we keep all of them? They're like, no, you need to raise like 90 million and you have to sell all of them. There's going to come a time that is going to happen. You're going to, I mean, I loved Van Persie, he moved on. We loved Aubameyang, he moved on, He loved Alexis Sanchez, he moved on. Like, it's going to come a time where those players are going to move on. They're not going to stay at Arsenal forever. But for now, those players are young. So I don't see them. I don't see many of those players moving like in the next 1 year or 2 years.
Yeah.
We're in 2024. I feel like the next 2 seasons at least, most of those players are going to be here. Saka, Havertz, Odegaard, Saliba, Gabriel. I think most of them are going to be here. Maybe in 2026, depending on what happens, maybe one of them moves on. I'm talking about the younger ones, like for Trossard and Jorginho and Partey. I don't expect them to be here in the next, by even end of 2025. Jorginho and Partey might already moved on. Trossard might have one more season, maybe 1.5, and then moves on in one of the Januaries because of their age. So for the younger ones, I expect them to be here for 2-3 seasons. Unless things go completely wrong, then things will break down. Now, what is the one thing that I feel like could cause them to go out? I feel if you sack Nketiah today, I think you're going to lose like 3 of those 4 players. That is also part of my fear. So you have to keep them. You have to keep everything going, keep on improving the team, and then you see what happens from that. That's what you need to do.
Now, Arsenal interested in Eberechi Eze, according to Team News and Tix, one of the very reliable podcasts and Twitter accounts. They have released an exclusive that 2 very, very independent accounts have told them that Arsenal have discussed Eberechi Eze internally and they like him. Arsenal have also registered tangible interest in Joshua Kimmich, but for purposes of the Euros, we've got to cut this one short. Join me and Glenn tomorrow on his channel as we discuss the midfield. Eze, Kimmich, and a couple of other players that Arsenal, are turning to, the likes of Xavi Simons. Make sure you leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and we'll catch up with you very, very soon. Thanks.